Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating and ancient Buddhist text called the Amitabha Sutra. Now, if you're thinking ancient religious texts are all just quiet contemplation and abstract philosophy, you're definitely in for a surprise. This one actually kicks off with a shocking royal betrayal, high-stakes treason, and ultimately builds into this incredibly precise, step-by-step blueprint for a spiritual escape route. Let's just jump right into it. Okay, listen to this dramatic cold open. What sin did I commit to bear such an evil son? That is a desperate, heart-wrenching plea from Queen Vaidehi. She's literally trapped in the middle of a terrifying palace queue, watching her entire family get torn apart by her own flesh and blood. And in her absolute darkest moment, facing complete isolation and death, she reaches out to the Buddha. That brings us to our first section, Royal Tragedy and the Pure Land Vow, which serves as the intense catalyst for her spiritual awakening. This sequence of events shows you just how fast things unraveled for her. On day one, Prince Ajatasatru violently overthrows his own father, King Bimbisara, and just locks him away to starve. For 3 whole weeks, Queen Vaidehi risks her life every single day. She's secretly smuggling a paste made of honey and flour that she smears on her own body, and she hides grape juice in her jewelry just to keep the king alive. Well, the prince finds out, and he is so enraged he actually draws his sword to execute his own mother. It's only because his ministers threaten to completely abandon him that he stops, throwing her into deep confinement instead. And it's out of this crushing, unimaginable trauma that she breaks down and prays for a way out. What's really compelling about this is how the queen's deeply personal trauma suddenly pivots into a universal call to action. She doesn't just ask the Buddha to unlock her cell door. She begs him to show her how to escape this, quote, turbid, evil world entirely. Because to her, it's a world just overflowing with malice and pain. She wants a blueprint to reach a realm absolutely free from sorrow. And the Buddha, hearing this desperate plea, actually appears to her right there in her prison. Moving to section 2, the foundation, or the 3 acts of merit, which is all about preparing the mind for the Pure Land. Before the Buddha hands over this grand cosmic exit strategy, he has to lay down some ground rules. You see, the crucial point here is that you can't just jump straight into advanced, mind-bending meditation without pouring the foundation first. He outlines 3 absolute prerequisites. First is worldly ethics, so caring for your parents and having deep compassion for everyone. Second is spiritual discipline, meaning you strictly hold to moral precepts and take spiritual refuge. And third is spiritual ambition, developing the Bodhi mind, that desire for ultimate enlightenment, believing in cause and effect, and studying the deeper Mahayana teachings. Basically, the architecture of the mind has to be built on a rock-solid foundation of a good, highly ethical life. Which leads us to section 3, Visualizing Bliss, the 16 Contemplations. This is the step-by-step spiritual blueprint. Once that ethical foundation is set, we get to the core of the sutra, an incredible, highly structured mental architecture. The Buddha starts really simply. He tells Vaidehi to face west and focus entirely on the setting sun. Just hold that image in her mind, like a bright, suspended drum, until she sees it clearly, whether her eyes are open or closed. From there, it escalates. You visualize clear water, then you mentally freeze that water into ice, and then you transform that ice into brilliant glowing lapis lazuli. You are literally constructing an unshakable, vivid environment piece by piece, from the ground up, entirely in your mind's eye. It's like building a virtual reality from the inside out. Then the meditation shift. You go from the physical environment of the Pure Land, which has these incredibly intricate details like jeweled trees, magical pools of water, and that lapis lazuli ground emitting colored light, over to the divine beings who actually inhabit it. You build the stage right, and then you bring in the central figures. You visualize the overwhelming, massive golden body of Amitabha Buddha, flanked by 2 towering, majestic bodhisattvas, Avalokiteshvara and Mahasthamaprapta. And when I say massive, I mean massive. 84,000. The text uses these staggering scales to just completely break open our normal human perception. To successfully visualize Amitabha Buddha, the text says you must see 84,000 physical characteristics on his body, and from those, 84,000 rays of golden light, shining out to embrace all beings. It's meant to be this overwhelming sensory and spiritual experience constructed through deep, unwavering focus. Let's look at section 4, the 9 lotus grades, Being's Refuge. This acts as the matrix of spiritual outcomes. You might be wondering, what happens to the practitioners who actually attempt this? Do they all get the exact same result? Well, the sutra brilliantly categorizes the outcomes into upper, middle, and lower tiers. What's fascinating is how organized and fair it is. It shows that everyone has a distinct, navigable path forward based entirely on their own karma and effort. If you're in the upper grades, highly compassionate, deeply studied, you get instant rebirth and immediate enlightenment upon arriving in the Pure Land. For the middle grades, folks who just lived a good, ethical life, they're reborn inside a lotus bud in the Pure Land that blooms after just a few days. But take a look at that bottom row, the lower grades. These are people who have committed severe worldly sins. And here is the absolute most surprising plot twist aspect of the text. It introduces this profound concept of infinite grace. It says that even for those in the lowest possible grade, people who have committed the worst offenses imaginable and are facing terrible karmic consequences, if they meet a wise teacher at the very end of their life and can manage just 10 sincere recitations of the phrase Namo Amitabha Buddha, they can still be saved. To really hammer home how powerful this grace is, the sutra states that those 10 simple but wholly sincere recitations at the moment of death will eradicate 8 billion eons of negative karma. Let that sink in. 8 billion eons. It's an incredibly powerful message of hope, emphasizing that spiritual rescue and transformation are available to absolutely anyone, no matter how far gone they might seem. Finally, Section 5, Text Legacy and Digital Preservation, bringing antiquity straight into the modern era. So how do we even know about this incredible story of Queen Vaidehi and the Buddha's cosmic blueprint? That brings us to the modern preservers of this ancient wisdom. This is the Chinese Buddhist Electronic Text Archive, or CBTA. They are the ones who meticulously digitized, punctuated, and preserved the exact version of the text we've been exploring today, successfully shifting it from fragile, decaying ancient manuscripts to permanent digital pixels. The CBTA Foundation operates as a nonprofit organization. Their entire mission is dedicated to making these massive, historically vital texts freely accessible to the public globally. And it's a huge undertaking. They rely entirely on public support and donations to keep this colossal digital library updated and available, connecting with supporters through modern avenues like QR codes to fund this massive digital effort. I absolutely love this quote they use in their materials. Drops of water, though small, gradually fill a large vessel. Their mission perfectly echoes the sutra's teachings on gradual, persistent effort. Whether it's Queen Vaidehi building a whole world one visualization at a time, or modern archivists typing out a thousands of years old text one character at a time, it shows how small, consistent acts of merit eventually lead to massive, world-changing transformations. Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder as we wrap up this explainer. The Amitabha Buddha Sutra started with a woman trying to find peace in a chaotic, treacherous situation. When faced with the chaos of our own modern lives today, what is your personal Pure Land? And more importantly, what small intentional steps will you take today to start visualizing it and making it a reality? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and keep learning.